Hi there, my name is Nate Kokernot. Welcome to my channel. Today, seeing as it's New Year's Eve, I was going to talk about setting intentions, and I'm going to talk about it in the lens of A Course in Miracles. And I'm also going to bring in a little bit of MBTI into this conversation. I want to remind those of you who listen to the MBTI series that I just recently finished that the decision-making functions are actually judging functions. They get a J in the four-letter personalities type. And so what's important to understand in that is that the most important decision that we make is how we judge the thing that we are seeing, the experience that we're having, the interpretation of the experience as bad or good, as this should be or this shouldn't be. That is the first decision, is how we judge the situation. And that is the most influential or the most significant decision that we will make. Everything else that we decide is based on that initial judgment, which I talked about in my last episode into this conversation. I can start to see through doing shadow work that the judgment of the situation, said situation, that I am deriving, or the meaning that I'm deriving from it, is basically a construction of all of my past experiences with the associations or the symbols that I'm experiencing now. So I am deriving past meaning and placing it on the present moment, making it a distorted version of the present moment. I'm not seeing what's actually there when I am judging through the past. And that's naturally what we do, because that is essentially how perception functions, is that we construct images from our past and place them over the present moment and see something that's not there. So in A Course in Miracles, there's a section, it's chapter 30, it's called Rules for Decision. And it kind of gives you guidance on how to begin each day with setting intentions. And the first instruction in the Rules for Decision is that you sit quietly and imagine the kind of day that you want to have. I usually imagine a day filled with peace, filled with love, filled with connection, filled with trust, filled with understanding. But usually each day there's a different flavor to it, just depending on my particular mood. And then the next step is, this is the kind of day that I will have if I make no decisions by myself. And so there is, as we have talked about, split minds in in all of us. We have both the Holy Spirit. I put it on the right side, actually, because I think with left brain and the right brain things, the right brain is actually more keyed in with the truth, with the Holy Spirit, and then the left brain is kind of responsible more for the ego, and that's not that important. But what's important is that there are two different ways of looking at any situation. There's the way the Holy Spirit sees the situation, and there's the way that the ego sees the separation, or sees the situation, and that is through separation, or through the lens of separation, through the idea that we are in truth, in our own identities, truly separate from one another. And as long as we're seeing whatever it is that we're seeing through that lens, it's going to bring us less than optimal feelings. It just is. That's how it works. And so making no decisions by yourself, setting the intention to make no decisions by yourself, is like, I'm going to try to be reminded in the moment when I am met with appearances that I interpret as evil, as gloomy, as this shouldn't be, that I am going to ask the Holy Spirit in me to interpret the situation for me, instead of me running with that interpretation. And Then you sit in silence and listen. You get into that receptive kind of vertical state of receiving messages from the divine, from the spirit, from yourself who are tapped into the Holy Spirit. It's just that you're listening for that much quieter voice inside of your head that actually has all the right answers. And the silence is basically the stillness from all of this noise around us, of all of these unnecessary stressors, unnecessary fears that are just like whirling around us like a hurricane. Lost my train of thought there. That we have the choice, we have the free will to choose to ask the Holy Spirit to see that for us in its lens, or through its lens. And then we experience the truth, the changelessness of heaven, which is actually what the world around us truly is. If we were in our right minds all the time, we would know that. But this is the practice of basically setting intentions to be in our right minds every moment of the day. And yes, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to falter, and we're going to forgive ourselves after all those mistakes. It doesn't mean we're intending to make the mistakes. It just means that when we make the mistakes, we realize that beating ourselves up about it afterwards isn't exactly a correction to the mistake. Love is the only correction. So this year, 2026, the one that's coming up, I think a lot of people are expecting it to be a year of transformation. I think reconstruction is a word that comes to mind, although I don't think we're completely done deconstructing all of the systems that were built up rather imperfectly over time. I think all those systems need to be broken down right now. They're not sustainable. We've proven that to ourselves. And we've proven that they're based on a system of thinking, which is that we are all separate and we're basically here to compete with each other. That's just not true. And if we hold on to that ideal, we're never going to actually evolve as a human race, as consciousness. So I'm very optimistic about this year, even though I do think there's going to be a lot of pain and suffering in it, because I think this is the year that we're going to start seeing things truly. We're going to start realizing that images that we see are derived from our minds and they're not actually out there in the first place, which is going to be such a magnificent paradigm shift. I do think it's going to happen over time, incrementally, maybe the next couple of years. But I do see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I feel very joyful for that. So I want to wish you all a very happy 2026 and a day today full of blessings and miracles. And I will see you again next time. Take care.